Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and of course, one of the last films I'm going to review for the month of October. It's been a long road. As hard as hell. Sorry. There'll be one more review, because it's a movie that I had to take the review down because I had footage in it, and I didn't want to strike, so I wanted to be careful. But that'll be after this. But I know someone else actually mentioned I should review this again, and I'm not sure why not. It's probably one of my favorite horror films of all time, without a doubt, and that is John Carpenter's The Thing. And if you wonder why I have both of these, well, I have the Blu-ray because the picture quality is great. It's beautiful. But I have the DVD because it has all the features. It has, especially the 80-minute documentary that I can watch by itself. Okay, one quick rant. This Blu-ray is bullshit in the fact that in order to see the documentary, you have to do this shit where it pops up from time to time while you're watching the movie. And it's not the entire fucking documentary, I'm sorry. You know? It's not. Because it's like, okay, I don't want to watch it while watching the movie. And like people pop up once in a while or from time to time. I want to see the entire documentary. I just want to watch the documentary from beginning to end. Can't do that. Why? It's a fucking Blu-ray. It has enough info to do that. If they didn't put it all on the DVD, they didn't put it all on the Blu-ray. So I keep both. Plus the outtakes from the film and behind-the-scenes photos and all the other features that's not on this, so I keep this. So that's why I have both. But John Carpenter's The Thing. This film, when it came out, it bombed. I think mainly because of E.T. Universal did a stupid idea of releasing this film around the same time as E.T. And of course, everybody loved E.T. Eddie Torres, extraterrestrial, they loved him. I liked E.T., but I think this gets the shit out of E.T. I do. I like E.T. But this gets the shit out of it. And it fucking pisses me off that John Carpenter, he made one of the most perfect horror films of all time. I mean, I don't even need to go into the story. You know the story of the John Carpenter's Thing. If you don't watch this review. Watch the movie for Halloween, and then watch this review. If you haven't seen this, go watch it, and then come back to me. This film has great idea. It's a remake of The Thing from Another World, but not really, because it's based on the short story of Who Goes There, which I know I haven't read yet. Who Goes There? I know, shame on me. But John Carpenter wanted to go more towards the actual basis, which is, again, the short story Who Goes There. And it was about this creature that can absorb you and copy you perfectly, cell for cell. And everything about this film works. The cast works. I mean, Kurt Russell as MacReady is excellent. Wilford Brimley, David Clennon, Richard Masur, Keith David, T.K. Carter. Everybody works. Everybody. There's not a bad actor in the group. You didn't need women. You didn't need it. And it was kind of interesting because it made it a little bit different. The setting is perfect. Antarctic, 1982. I forget where exactly they shot it, but they did a great job. It made you feel like, oh my god, it's very cold. It's very isolated. Has a thick, in a good way, atmosphere. Because sometimes it's like, okay, that takes over the movie. It takes over the story of the movie. This is not the case. It fits the story like a glove. Where, this dog comes in, and you wonder what the fuck's going on? Why are these people trying to kill it? And you find out why. Even the dog, the wolf/dog, is a good actor. If in one shot it cannot look at the camera, go towards, stop at a door, stare at something, and go forward into it in one shot. I mean, the dog even knew this was a good movie. He acted like a badass. Like a great actor. I mean, all 12 guys in this movie, there's not a bad one in them. And the paranoia, the suspense worked. I remember the first time I saw this was on VHS, and it really hooked me, hook, line, and sinker. And the fact of, okay, how do I know if you're human or not? And it has interesting questions. How do I know if I'm human or not? If the thing mimics me perfectly, could I be a mimic and not know it? And that's how perfectly it can be? Because it creates interesting ideas. Again, what if it's so perfect that it's like, oh my god, am I human? Maybe I'm thinking I am because it's mimicked perfectly to make me believe I'm human. That's what I mean. That's the interesting ideas behind the story. But the paranoia of who's who, who's human, who's not, it's portrayed so expertly. Dean Cundey did a great job lighting the film with the flares. You don't see, it's not fucking the Total Recall remake. You see lens flare all the goddamn time. Like the remake of Total Recall that, Dean Cundey knew what the hell he was doing lighting the film. He was the DP, and he's done a lot of films like Back to the Future and a lot of John Carpenter. Like, you look up Dean Cundey, the guy's done a lot of stuff. And the score by Ennio Morricone, I mean, just that simple boom, dum dum, boom boom, down, down. Just, it's perfect. It's pitch perfect. It's simple. It's effective and creepy as fucking hell. And of course, Rob Bottin's effects. I mean, you had the help you have from Stan Winston with the dog kennel sequence, where it turns into like that flower, and if you freeze frame, the flower is actually a row of like dog teeth. Or like dog tons. Yes, dog tons with like rows of teeth. Like, again, that flower thing that pops up, pause it. You see it's dog tons, and it's like teeth. That's the imagination. And the special effects, I remember I worked at a video store, and I swear to God, when that thing pre-cum, which I fucking still hate to this day, thing pre-cum came out, he's like, yeah, I like that movie. I didn't like that one in the 80s. I didn't like it. I thought the effects were cheesy. I literally, if I had hair, I would rip it out. If I had balls and not worry about getting fired, well, I didn't want to be a dick. That's really why I didn't want to do it. But I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I didn't want to be a dick. He wants to think that. That's fine. Um, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see how you can say the effects in this movie are cheesy. But you like theme pre-cum effects. Hey, to each their own. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I can disagree. I think these are the best special effects of all time. Just the fucking paddle scene. It opens up, chews some guy's fucking arms off. Thing comes out here. Then the head slowly gets out with his like green like what the hell you call it? And wraps his fucking. I literally, when I saw it the first time on VHS, I went literally like 5 flies could wall in my mouth and have an orgy and then come out, and I wouldn't care. I'd be like so transfixed. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, I had to rewind my VHS tape 2-3 times when I saw that shit. It was so fucking awesome, and it still is awesome. The writing is great. It doesn't dumb it down. Yeah, once in a while you're like Wilford Brimley, which I love Wilford Brimley, when he goes crazy, because he's doing the right thing. He's like, he smashes the equipment because, no one can leave. And then it has that scene where, I'll kill you! And they run after him. And later on, it's like, watch clock, do you hear me? And granted, he's stealing a helicopter. You find out that when he's the thing, oh, you spoiled it. It's from 1982. You should see the thing. How dare you not see the thing already? Great, he's stealing helicopter parts and he's trying to build a spaceship. You're like, wow, that's bullshit. But it's like, I don't give a fuck. It's one of those films that the atmosphere works every step of the way. The paranoia, wondering who's who, like who's the thing and who's not, caring about all these people. The blood test scene. Directors today, who are doing these horror films, need to study this film. They need to study the blood test scene in order to see, okay, how do we create suspense? How do we create suspense successfully? How do we create suspense in an efficient way? and also give an excellent payoff. And, you know, flamethrower fun. You got an ending that, you know me, usually these kind of endings, I'm kind of like, ugh. John Carpenter knows how to handle these kind of endings. He just does. Not 100% of the time, but because I'm not a fan of The Ward. I'm not a fan of The Ward. But John Carpenter, I will say, is my favorite director of all time. He is my all-time favorite, #1. I'm sorry, Spielberg. I'm sorry, Scorsese and all this. John Carpenter, he's underrated as shit. And he kicks a lot of ass. And I think he has the best track record, in my opinion. I love Ghosts of Mars. I love Vampires. I love In the Mouth of Madness. I love Prince of Darkness. And I love They Live. Big Trouble in Little China kicks mucho ass. Steve from New York and Steve from L.A. Steve from L.A. I saw first and I liked. Steve from New York is a classic. Assault Precinct 13 is one hell of an awesome action movie. Siege movie. And this is the reason. This and the Blob remake from 1988 are my favorite horror films of all time. I'll say right now. Those two are my favorite horror films of all time. They are. There's one that's close that you'll see a review after this, but just the way it ended with that question mark, you know. And I know originally they had an ending where they showed that, you know, Kurt Russell, he came back and, okay, you know, there was a test and proved he wasn't the thing. I would have been fine with that. But the ending works because it's a big question mark. It's a good chance they're going to die. Are they both the thing? Are they both human? And that's what pisses me off about the Thing prequel, because John Carpenter wanted to do a sequel. And like during the 90s or the 2000s, he wanted to do a sequel to this. He was going to bring back Kurt Russell and Keith David. They even had comic books, which I liked and I read. I read and liked. That had Kurt Russell and Keith David characters. And how they got out of it, and you know how they survived, and this and that. I want to see The Thing 2 by John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, not a fucking Thing pre-cum. Cum stain. That's what pissed me off about that movie. Universal's like, nope. John Carpenter, go fuck yourself. Shove it up your ass. We're going to go with some guy who never directed a fucking thing before, and we're going to get the writer of a Nightmare on Elm Street remake. The writer I pissed off when I was bitching about the theme prequel. Oh, you mean that? Well, your movie sucked. I saw it. Okay. And the mystery behind the Norwegian camp, it was left better a mystery. I didn't need to know every fucking nook and cranny. Gee, I wasn't like, see that fucking axe on the wall. How the hell did that get there? Who gives a shit? I give a shit about the story, not how a fucking axe got on the wall. Put it between your head or between your butt cheeks. I mean, I'll say this film is as close to a perfect horror film as I think there can be. The atmosphere, the way the snow, the cold, you can tell it's cold, you can tell the cold will kill him. The paranoia between all the cast. Everyone in the cast doing an expert job. The score by Ennio Morricone gave such a creepy feel. For instance, there's a scene where the camera in one shot is going through the camp, and it goes through the hallway and then goes to the door where Keith David was at, but now he's gone and the door's open, and you have that score, dum dum pa pa, dum dum, and you're like, where did he go? That's the thing. It gets you sucked in. It gets you involved. This is actually adults making horror films. Not fucking WB, CW, MTV type of bullshit. It's adults who knew how to make a horror film. A serious film that has all of its cylinders running. And John Carpenter, when this came out and it flopped, John Carpenter got fired. He was going to do Firestarter, that Stephen King. He got fired because this thing flopped. That's bullshit. John Carpenter is not the pornographer of violence, as people called him. That motherfucker doing 9/11 with zombies and a Serbian film are pornographers of violence, in my opinion. This is a fucking classic. And gets an A+.